Woo, guys, we're live and we're tasting Canadian wine. This is Carl Boucher. I'm Mira Boucher. And stay tuned because we've got our top value wine offer of the year, including a $10 Canadian Cab Franc at what, 91.5 points, Carl?
91
91 points.
plus. Can't wait to talk more
Some,
about our visit at the winery.
yeah, some fantastic wine chats coming up. So stay tuned, Canadian wine lovers. Hey, yeah.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country, from Vancouver Island to Nova Scotia, welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday. What does it mean? Sit
It's
back.
Wine Wednesday.
It is Wine Wednesday. Sit back, relax, pop a good bottle of Canadian wine, and enjoy the show. We have today some Lightning Rock wine, a bubbly, a Syrah, a Pinot Noir Reserve. We're going to talk about Summerland, but more of anything else. We'll recap our incredible trip to in Niagara.
It was a pretty special trip. So we just got back from Niagara and then, of course, had probably the most Canadian day you can have yesterday. Hey, Carl?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So get this. Step one of having the most Canadian day on the planet. Someone that was coming to visit our house sends me a text. I can't get down your driveway. There's a huge bear in the middle of it. I kid you not. If you stay tuned, I might be able to get the picture up on here to show you guys. A massive bear blocking our driveway. So immediately I'm like, where's the kids? So I run around. Luckily, they were not outside at that moment. Our neighbor has no fear. So he goes right out there, starts making noise to scare the bear away. And he
Which
does.
is right. He's right next to me right here. He's listening to the show too. So
yeah, and so it works. So the bear goes away. You know, our friend comes down the driveway. That's the start of our very Canadiana day. But then get this, Carl has to go to hockey. Hockey is now starting the season.
Absolutely. Hey, Mira, nice shirt.
Carl, but for two.
Nice shirt, by the way. Mira's wearing our shirt, our Suns, the Summerland Jets, right? Because we're tasting Summerland wines.
We encounter a bear. We go to hockey a lot. And then what else makes yesterday the most Canadian day ever?
Well, I sign up. I'm back at coaching, like, right? Go back on the coaching rank.
Very Canadian of you.
Very Canadian of me.
And you know what else? We had our experience with a bit of off-roading because there was, on our way home, there was a wildfire blocking the road. And they're like, we don't know when you can go back home. Maybe in a few hours, maybe in a day or two. We don't know. Luckily, I mean, there were a bunch of homes evacuated in the middle of the night on that stretch of road here in the Okanagan, but luckily within about 8 hours, they had the whole thing contained and no one got hurt and nobody lost any property or anything. So that was good, but we were literally out all night trying to get home. So that was
off-roading for 5.5 hours. So yeah. So welcome to our live. So instead of going to bed at 11:30 like we were expecting, we went to bed at 6 a.m. this morning. So sorry if you guys tried to reach out today. We're a little bit out of sorts, but hey, you know what? We're back. We're sitting here tasting Canadian wines with you, and I can't wait to recap our incredible trip to Niagara last weekend, which I mean, did you had a chance to upload the Brian Schmidt video that we had that we did when we got to Vineland?
Yeah, so that is, we actually went live with that almost 13,000 people have viewed it, which is really cool. So we had a live with Brian Schmidt last Thursday, right from the winery. It was super windy, so the sound keeps popping from the wind. But hey, it was pretty interesting to hear what they're up to at the winery, wasn't it?
Oh man, that is incredible. That was absolutely incredible. We had the chance to see the machine, the brand, well, not the brand new, but the built up machine that they're trying out, a very like a world first of what they're doing at with like ozone, UV ray, X-ray, and like peroxide, the dioxide. Anyway, I don't know, three product. That's it. They are literally like sealing the vines, like hitting all of the bacteria in terms of protecting the vines against mildew and every type of rot. So it's something very like Brian said, one of the most revolutionary product in the wine industry in the world since the invention of the Bordeaux spray in the 1800s. So like something incredibly revolutionary who's happening in our backyard here in Canada at Vineland and State. Brian Schmidt at the forefront of this again revolution, because let's keep it that let's keep that in mind. And I think it's a great segue to what we are selling this week. It's Vineland Estate wine. Brian and his family were at the very forefront of a revolution of Canadian wine, pulling out hybrid grape and bringing Vitis vinifera, bringing like European grapes like Riesling in the country. And people in the 70s were telling Brian and his family that you are completely nuts to try to plant Riesling here in Canada. It's never going to work. 45 years later, we are producing some of the very best Rieslings in the world. And not only we have planted Riesling, the Weiss clone that Brian's family and the Weiss family from Germany imported to Canada, where we were at the epicenter of the Saint-Ruben-Off Riesling vineyard, where the video that we recorded on Thursday were right next to the Saint-Ruben-Off Riesling vineyard, which was planted in 1979. So, I mean, the epicenter of Riesling in Niagara. We were right there, and we were tasting live the 2020 Riesling, which was so incredible. Like, it was so amazing to have the 2022 versus the 2020, both side by side, because you know what? Like, these vintage are so different. The 2023, not the 22, the 23. And the 2020. 2020 is a library, exclusive library release. There's only 5 cases of that available. Not anymore, because we've sold probably 4 of the 5 available. There might be 12 or 16 bottles available. I'm not sure how many, but not a whole lot left. And the 2023, just to tell you, the Riesling is becoming a thing again in Canada. 2023 was released, and now almost on release, sold out. That's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I think the 2020 Riesling, the Evolution Saint-Ruben-Off Riesling, that's probably maybe the best that they've ever made. I rated it 93 points. When I tasted it again at the winery, I thought maybe I should have gave it 93 plus, maybe 90. This might be, to my opinion. Listen, we have opinions. Like everyone differ, but that 23 might be my very favorite Saint-Ruben-Off Riesling that Vineland made. The 2020 is such an expression of the vintage. Big, bold. That wine is rich, round, soft, but the classic natural acid of Niagara Riesling shines through that wine, so makes it a bold Riesling, if I may, if it makes any kind of sense. Mira, what did you think of that wine?
I thought it was great. Yeah. See, I love Riesling when it has, I don't want to call it like, yeah, but it has like a sweetness to it. So it means that you can have it with food and it's good. Like we've talked about this so much about, you know, RS and people saying, "Oh, I don't want a sweet Riesling." But it's got a bit of a sweetness, but it also has that acidity, and it's all balanced and mouthwatering and amazing. And so I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I have to say, like, I'm completely with you and Brian on that front. I mean, there's some incredible dry Riesling out there, and like I'm not discounting the fact. My personal taste for personal consumption, I definitely like a little bit off dry. I definitely like that balance, that equilibrium between natural acid and sweetness, that low alcohol Riesling, because when you stop the fermentation, I mean, the alcohol is lower. And so that's the inverse relationship by low alcohol, higher RS, right? So when you stop the fermentation low, the RS is higher. When you transform the RS into alcohol, less sugar, more alcohol. That's the relationship between the two components of the wines. Okay, gosh, shut up with your technical point, your technical part. But
What?
my point, I'm just telling myself that I'm going too technical right now. I have to stop
Oh,
that. But hey, I mean, I prefer after I Riesling, which that one is incredible. Like to me, absolutely hit the nail, the hell on the nail on the head, and wow, great experience and incredible interview we had. And I don't think we had the chance to put together a full interview 25 minutes after the interview on the crush pad. Here is what happened at Vineland on Thursday. And we're like, okay, we're off the plane after a red-eye flight, okay? We're having a shower, we brush our teeth at the airport, we got stuck in the Toronto downtown because I had to shop at the LCBO for some Burgundy wine. And Mira ordered some cheese imported from Burgundy, knowing that
oh,
these
stinky.
cheeses called époisses are probably going to be stinky cheese, but they're stinky and stinky. Like there's different level of stinkiness. Let's put it that way. We purchased the cheese almost at the beginning of our shopping in Toronto. Oh my God, when we made it to Niagara at 7 o'clock at night, when we finally made it to a rental house, I swear to Lord, the car was stinkiness on four wheel. It was oh my God, it was so funny. Every time
And
we
these
go,
cheeses, I mean, we put them in the fridge. They were wrapped up. They were in plastic, like, they come in their own wrapping with a bunch of stuff around it. And then they were in the fridge and you could still smell it like 1 or 2 rooms away.
oh
We
yeah,
the whole couple of days we were like, what does that smell? Like, did a mouse crawl in the wall and die or something? But no, it was the cheese.
I
Yeah,
think
Daryl, it was awesome.
we'll have to replace the fridge at the rental house. I think that.
Yeah, they haven't contacted me yet, but they might be like, "Hey, did you notice a weird smell in the house?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we shopped in Toronto, and I forgot how badly I hate spending time in downtown Toronto. But anyway, we finally got our ass out of the Toronto downtown, made it to Vineland, did the first interview, tasted the incredible wines with Brian. And after that, Brian, when we had, keep in mind, we have the kids in the car, right? And after that, Brian says, hey, you guys have time for a little bit of a ride? I'm like, a little bit of a ride. He said, yeah, you remember? We're featuring the Mission Vineyard Chardonnay Musqué. How about I take you to our Chardonnay Musqué vineyard, the Mission Vineyard? There you go.
We went off-roading with Brian Schmidt, like literally through vineyards for like what, 5-10 minutes at least?
Oh, yeah, at least 10 minutes. So, Mira,
That
you
was wild.
you seeing the tree line up there?
Yeah.
On the other side of those big trees, it's Rob Nedelko's vineyard.
Okay, and Rob was at the tastings with us this last weekend. That is
There
super
you
cool.
go. There you go. Because it's funny because he saw that he saw that we were talking about Mission Vineyard, and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, my vineyard is the one next door." So it was pretty cool.
That is so cool. Really
So
cool. So there they are. He's
So that's
showing us all kinds of interesting things about, cropping and like went kind of way over my head, but I'm still like super thrilled that I'm in a vineyard with Brian Schmidt himself. And then our son, who has a green thumb, he won the grade 5. This is a very prestigious award here locally, you guys. He won the Summerland grade 5 gardening contest. First place. Okay. So he has a green thumb. So they were literally in quite a long chat together about like watering regimes and like techniques and things like that.
It was
And he had
incredible.
some great
At
questions.
least half an hour, Mira. Like Brian and Gabriel, our middle son, went on for at least half an hour. And as I could see Brian, and Brian is such a family guy, and like he keeps
Yeah,
always
he was
talking
great.
about his granddaughter and all that. After his conversation with Gabby, when we drove him back to the winery, he said, "Carl, give him my email address, set us up." Because I want to do some Zoom with him. I want to show him
Really?
when I harvest. I mean, we left
Oh my
there. He
God.
was more interested in staying in contact with my 10-year-old than to plan our next tasting and our next feature. It was incredible.
But speaking of which, so we tasted this amazing 92 plus point wine live, the 2020 Elevation St. Urban Riesling, which is like the birthplace of Canadian Riesling, that vineyard that we were in. So we tasted that live, and you got quite an idea for the next time we're in Niagara in November, didn't you?
Absolutely. So, and Brian, so now we need to determine if they will be still in harvest. But the idea is Brian and Vineland Estate and Cave Spring with the Pinichetti family, right? Len Pinichetti and the Schmidt family were the both at the same time dealing with the Weiss family from Germany to bring the Colonian, and they planted their vineyard, Cave Spring Vineyard, CSV, and Saint Urban off were basically planted at the same time. And kind of, I would say probably 2 to 3 kilometers apart. And so Brian, I asked Brian, do you have any very like back vintage of Saint Urban off? And he said, well, Carl, we always kept some very old vintage because we like to analyze how they. I said, okay, I have an idea. How about we do a back vintage tasting with only elevation Saint Urban off from like the growth of that vineyard? And he looked at me with that spark in his eyes. He's like, holy shit, let's do it. And it took him like 6 seconds. I saw the print, like, yes, let's do it. And he said, hey, let me talk with Gabriel DeMarco. He said, do you know Gabe? I said, yeah, I know Gabe. Cave Spring, right? He said, yeah. How about we do Vineland and Cave Spring library back vintage chronologically, like how Niagara Riesling has evolved? I'm like, holy shit, yes. So we're talking about it. The problem is for November, and we're gonna probably have a confirmation next week, is because Niagara was so excruciatingly hot this summer, the vine shut down. And the Verizon is, I would say, probably 2 weeks behind. So harvest is going to be late this year. So he's like, I'm not sure if we're going to be still like in the thick of harvest, November 12, when I'm planning to come back. But we are going to do back vintage Riesling in a
At some point.
at some point, not exactly sure when, maybe the weekend of November 12, or if not, maybe later in December or in January. So, but it's in the talk, so it's going to be incredible.
There you go. So it was so great to see you guys this last weekend, by the way. Daryl was there with Sandy, Tracy and Jim were there. I see Jeff and Stacy in the comments as well. These guys were all with us in Niagara. So here, we'll give you guys the behind the scenes of how we got the cheese and wine to that Burgundy.
I have to say, babe, I have to say, Mira, Jeff absolutely cracked the shit out of me. Oh, he made me laugh so hard at the Burgundy tasting, like 2 or 3 times. We say, I'm just an accountant here. But oh my God, he made me laugh so hard during the
Yeah.
Burgundy tasting. I have to thanks these guys, these people, to bring such great question and such great points during our Burgundy tasting. We had some pros in the room. There was Thomas Batchelder, myself, Elias Sanchuk, Mark Nadeau, but our member truly made that tasting so interactive and so real and so many different levels. So let's get back, Mira. Where are you at here with the
So
photos?
let's talk about Leaning Post, which was last Friday night, our Ontario Winery of the Year. We got together there to throw a bit of a party. They hosted us as usual, just giving us all their attention, Nadia and Ilya Senchuk. So here's just a few clips from that event. They kept it casual in the sense that Ilya would bring out a couple wines to taste together. We tasted what, amphora versus
Uh,
stainless steel versus oak, that sort of comparison. We tasted
yeah.
some of their weirder wines and some of their more well-known wines, and
I
then they
mean, the
had
Sauvignon Blanc
Mistress
tasting,
barbecue.
the
What?
Sauvignon Blanc flight was so incredibly different. It was so cool to taste their natural wine, Sauvignon Blanc, versus the very classic SB from the same vineyard, from the same pick, from the same everything, but just two different winemaking technique. Who gave you two incredibly different wines? So just to see that was a ton of fun. We went in the barrel room. We tasted the Senchuk 2023 in barrel, which was pretty freaking amazing. We see here Mike, the average wine enthusiast, asking some awesome question to Ilya in the barrel room. So it was, and oh my God, the brisket. The
Yeah,
brisket and the baked beans
Griffith
from
Beef Barbecue, just next to this winery, next to Leaning Post in Winona, is well known for their barbecue, and it was true. It was very, very nicely done. Brisket, pulled pork, great food. So lots of fun on the Friday night, and then on the Saturday, this is where I wanted to show you guys our little journey. So first of all, here is Carl trying to find a few more Burgundies to taste alongside. He'd done a lot of research. He knew which stores had which wines or were supposed to have which wines that he
that's the
wanted to
thing
pair,
was supposed to.
right? And what was your thinking behind this? Because the whole point of this event was let's talk Burgundy vis-a-vis Canada, because our whole thing we're shouting from the rooftops as Carl's Wine Club is that Canadian wines are world class. We have arrived. Our wines can stand side by side any other wines in the world, and they stand on their own. You won't be like, oh, that's sub quality or something. No, they really, really are at that level that they can. We don't want to say compete, but we want to say they can be vis-a-vis. They can be beside, and be just as enjoyable as any wine in any big wine region in the world. So that's amazing. So we wanted to compare Burgundy and Canada. And so what did you do, Carl? You were trying to match kind of the flavor profiles or create a contrast, right?
Yeah, and most likely I was trying to find similar style to be alongside each other so we can compare. My biggest challenge was to find the right vintages. And because the LCBO, most likely they have recent releases. And so I had a hard time matching the same vintage. But it doesn't mean a ton because vintages are not the same in Canada and in Burgundy on the yearly basis. But my whole point in all that, just like you mentioned, Mira, was to showcase our people. And we're gonna hear it, and you're gonna read it in our blog post, is gonna be probably released tomorrow afternoon. But the point was, I wanted to showcase how great we can show our wine with a quarter or a tenth of the history of a vineyard in Burgundy, because keep in mind, Burgundy is the motherland of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. In Canada, I mean, we've planted Chardonnay, Pinot Noir at best 35 years ago. At best, 35 years ago. In France, 35 years, you cannot even call it the old vines 35 years. So we had some wines who they have like 400 years of wine making tradition in their family. I mean, this is so what I wanted to show is for a fraction of the price, we can show our wine and they can perform at an extremely high level at a fraction of the price and a fraction of the history of winemaking and the vineyard age. Our vineyard at the like I said, in the Black Bank Hill was the greatest example of all. A fifth leaf wine, which means it was the fifth vintage. Okay, a brand new little baby vineyard producing an incredible wine at $45 who went head to head vis-a-vis a wine from Savigny Bone Vieille Vigne, which was a 75-year-old vineyard for an extra, I think, $35 more. That we were all unanimous in the room that Black Bank Hill wine showed better result in the glass. Incredible, right? So that was the whole point. And okay, I think we nailed it with the wine selection, but the star of the day, if you talk, maybe not the star, but one of the greatest feature of that tasting was Mira's cheese grazing table that you put together. Oh my God.
Hey, check out this picture of Jeff and Stacy. It's my favorite. Do you see them on the left there?
Yeah, I know.
You guys are the best. They saw me.
Yeah.
I was like really far away. Look at that. And they noticed and they were like, there, let's pose. I love it. So much fun. So I just had to throw this in because this is what our kids were up to while we were at that tasting. They went to some kind of Canadian petting zoo. Yeah, so just so you guys can see, like these are the Burgundy wines, right?
So the Meursault went vis-a-vis Hill of Wingfield 2023 from Batchelder, which was, according to one of the greatest expert in Burgundy wine in Canada, Mark Nadeau, owner of l'Académie du Vin, great friend with the late Steven Spurrier. Mark said hands down, the best wine of that tasting was Hill of Wingfield 2023 from Thomas Batchelder.
There's Mark there.
The cool thing is we are the first to taste the 2023 Batchelder. They are not released yet. They're not going to be released until November 1st. And we had the privilege to have one of his wine. Speaking about privilege, on Friday afternoon, I had the privilege to be sitting with Thomas the whole darn afternoon, him and I at the back cave, tasting over 40 Batchelder wines of the 2023 vintage. When you look at a geek fest, if you are talking something like a lifetime knowledge.
Well, let me show you because always when Carl tastes with Thomas, like very few pictures get taken because there's so many wines that, it's just like speed dating. Some of you guys have been there when this has happened. I mean, it's really like, what is happening? There's so many wines. But there's one you took during that tasting. It was supposed to be a 1 or 2 hour tasting that led to be about 4 or 5 hours.
And what I loved that day is when I had a chat with Nadia Senchuk. So Nadia was our host at 6 o'clock, and I called Nadia on my way to the Bat Cave. And I said, Nadia, hope you're having a good morning. I'm on my way to the Bat Cave. I'll spend a couple of hours with Thomas, and I should be at Leaning Post by 4 to help you guys set up, and so we can brainstorm and we can chat, and we'll be ready for 6. And she paused. And she started laughing, and she literally burst in laugh. And I'm like, what are you laughing at? She said, Carl, you are on the way to see Thomas at the Bat Cave, and you think you're going to be back in 2 hours. You are funny. She said, see you at 6. And she hung up the phone. And what happened, Mira?
Yeah. I don't know. It's not something not
What
something
happened?
necessarily to be proud of, Carl, but yes.
I
Because there
got
was
there
also
at six.
Peach
I got
Fest.
there at 6:05.
Yeah, Peach Fest was happening, and so I abandoned Carl at the Bat Cave about 4:15 and went to Leaning Post, and Peach Fest was happening. So I was like, Carl, you're in trouble. I can't come back and get you. There is so much traffic in rural Grimsby right now that it would take like an hour to go each way. So, but anyway, you clearly had quite the experience, even sideways pictures, all kinds of things. So that was quite something. Again, a little Canadiana for you. There's the Niagara Falls that our kids were
Hey, Mira, I would
visiting.
just like to ask a question to Daryl. So I know, okay, not unanimously, I agree with you, Daryl. You commented here saying that was not, maybe Hill of Wingfield was not unanimously the best, the favorite
No, because
wine of
I
everybody.
also
I would
heard
like, hey, Daryl, if you can mention which one was your very top of the 12 wine. I'll be intrigued to know your point of view. And there's no right and wrong answer. I mean, everything is very
no.
subjective.
So at my table, Carl, I was sitting with about 4 or 5 people. Their favorite out of the Chardonnays, anyway, was the
Mm,
Meyer Chardonnay. Yeah, and it did show. I mean, they were all very good Canadian wines in that tasting, but the Meyer was really shining. And I have a soft spot for the Batchelder wines, so definitely you could say that's right up there for me as well. But
I mean,
you're not gonna make
it's
no one's gonna make me choose, right? Which one I like more? No. I just
well,
like them all.
especially on the Chardonnay side, Mira. To my opinion, it was a sweep, a complete sweep that the three Canadian wine kicked the crap out of the Burgundian wine. Maybe it was not the case on the Pinot side, but on the Chardonnay side, to my personal opinion, South Clos 2020 from Claus and Chase kicked the shit out of the Premier Cru Chablis. For me, it was not
It's
even
true.
close.
The Chablis showed a little bit watery, I felt,
It was
compared
thin. It
to
was
the
thin. Yeah,
flavor
yeah.
concentration that we had with the Prince Edward County wine with the South Clos from um
Claus and Chase.
from
Claus and Chase.
Boston. Yeah. But
I
hey,
think South Clos
yeah,
2020 kicked the shit out of the Chablis. Meyer,
yeah,
yes, and I agree. Like Meyer came out of the bottle racing. Absolute. The 2022 Micro Cuvée deserve a 94 points in my book. I would say as like really was really shining. It was paired with a which one was it again? Can you go back to the
yeah,
Burgundy lineup?
sure.
Yeah,
The
right there.
Burgundy lineup.
Yeah. There's the Merceau. Can you go closer? No.
Can you see that?
Oh, the Centenay Premier Cru. Yeah, and that
Yeah.
darn freaking Centenay Premier Cru cost me $140 a pop. This darn thing. But yeah, Meyer absolutely buried that wine. The Merceau, I mean Merceau alongside Hill of Wingfield. Mer- to give, we need to also like that Merceau generic. It's not a crew or nothing. Bouchard, Domaine Bouchard is an absolute tradition in Burgundy, but this wine was too young. But that was 2023 alongside, and I have to say that for me, to my opinion, the three Canadian wines were much better in our glass. For each of them, were much cheaper, and this lineup of three Canadian wines, special, absolutely special.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and Daryl's mentioning some of the French wines too young, which is true. That's the thing. And we're not in France, although eventually I think we want to start to know what's in our members' cellars. Maybe we can access well-aged wines that way. Because being out here, we just are at the mercy of what is available at the LCBO and similar. But the French, yep, too young. I take the French on all Pinots, even being too young. Yeah, the Pinots definitely showed really, really well. Um, the thing that I loved was the point we were making before, which was Canadian wines. I mean, given the price point and given the fact that we're new on the scene, still vis-a-vis, very impressive that we're at the quality and level that we're at. But
I mean, that was an
yeah,
incredible showdown. The 2019 Alex Corton um, from Pascal Clement, and the Silva was the kind of the highlight, like the big gun fight of the Pinots. I mean, I think the Silva took it on the chin because it was a 2019 Alex Corton, and that showed that French Burgundian, when you hit the 6-year-old, that's where they start to shine. And that French Alex Corton, which is $120 a bottle, the 2019 vintage, which is a great vintage in Burgundy, was shining. I could see it could have been the wine of the tasting. But De Silva held his own so well. You can see the style. It was complete different style. It was probably the pairing where the style were the most different. I would say to where I disagree with Daryl. To my opinion, the Black Bank Hill wine was showing better than his counterpart from Savigny-les-Beaunes. And I would say that, well, maybe not better. I mean, let's put it that way. There was a Vieille Vigne, there was a 75-year-old vines. These were very similar result, I would say. Where I think that, to me, Lightning Rock show better than the Maurice Saint-Denis. I was not a big fan of the Maurice Saint-Denis Monopole from Maison Chanzy. I know that Mark Nadeau didn't agree with me. Mark thought that the Chanzy was showing better. I personally prefer Cannon View from Lightning Rock. But this is a stylistic, very like
all
stylistic.
fantastic wines. Daryl's mentioning he wasn't as impressed with the Black Bank Hill Pinot. The vines were too young, and that he had a great tasting at Kelly Mason with her Chardonnay. Kelly Mason makes some amazing wines from her own vines, I believe.
Kelly Mason is Thomas Batchelder's student, right? She learned under
Yeah,
Thomas. Thomas
absolutely.
really, really showed the rope at Domaine Calus. Over the years, she took over Domaine Calus. She's still the winemaker at Domaine Calus and now has her own brand in parallel. But yeah, I mean, Kelly is becoming one of the most known winemakers in Niagara. So, hey, Mira, what do you
Yeah,
think if I come in and I will come in and finish the show with you?
okay.
I'm running out of battery.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I'm going to introduce the next thing. So we were talking Burgundy visa. See you in a second. We were talking Burgundy
Yeah,
visa
yeah.
Canada.
Do I end on my? So can I end the screen here?
Oh no, I'll take you out. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So, we were talking Burgundy vis-a-vis Canada, and we are going to Burgundy next year. Some of you guys are coming bucket list trip, and what we wanted to say about that is we've already mentioned that Richard and Twyla de Silva are kind of 95% in. We'll officially announce it hopefully in the next few days to join us in Burgundy along with a couple of their club members. And guess who else might be joining us next June 4th to 11th in Burgundy? Uh, Fabian and Stephanie Rice from Fairrocks. Um, we're going around and starting to collect the very nice bottles of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir that we're going to be bringing to Burgundy with us to taste Canadian wines alongside some of the best in Burgundy that we find down there touring. So here we are meeting with Fabian and Stephanie. They are doing in 2027. They are doing a river cruise with Fairrocks, going through which part, Carl? Which part of the world are they traveling? River cruise. I think to Germany. I'm not totally sure because, of course, Fabian grew up in Germany, and has made wines there, made wines in Canada at his own winery, at other wineries. So they are going to actually pack an entire river cruise, about 175 people with Canadian wine lovers. That's going to be quite epic. I think that's filling up. But before they do that, they're going to join us in Burgundy for a very small group trip. It's just going to be 12 to 14 couples, including them and the De Silvas and us. There's a few spots left for that still. And quite frankly, once that fills up, we are considering staying one more week to see if there's another group of wine lovers that want to meet us down there for basically a rerun of the first week. But yeah, Stephanie and Fabian totally coming through. Daryl says these guys are going to be going to the Mosel. Yeah, so in Germany. So that should be very good for them. And we're pretty thrilled that they're willing to come to Burgundy with us next June. That's going to just add to the trip. Hey, Carl?
Absolutely, it's going to be that's going to be epic, epic. Don't forget, guys, Vineland wines are still available
Yeah, so
this
why
week.
don't we do a little recap of the Vineland wines and then give people a sneak preview of what's coming up? Because we've
Yeah,
got,
I got to go.
I know,
I have a goalie here at the door with his goalie pads on his shoulder, ready to rock. So Vineland Estate, for me, it's hard to like pinpoint one or two like wines like we usually do. This feature in general is just such a rock star feature. This is here the 93 points Cabernet Reserve, the highest rated wine in the whole thing. We had members from Quebec who ordered it by the case. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But this is the big boy of the lineup. Big, bold, more oaky. There's more oak presence than in any other Brian Schmidt's wine. This is obviously the reserve wine. So this is the cellaring potential in the bottle, 2020. So this is the big boy. That Cabernet, this one is the 92 plus points. I mean, $28 for
including tax.
Including tax. We're talking Cap Franc, Cap Sauve. The Cap Sauve brings structure, brings some backbone, bring a little bit of toughness into the Cap Franc. I mean, for $28, this is all in. This is so freaking hard to beat. And really yeah, boom. Now,
the little $10 guy here. Like, look how cute it is. It's half a bottle. It's half. You can see, like, my hand is not as massive as like a normal bottle. So yeah, it's like, look, this is the wine glass. It's half a bottle. Super cute, but it's only $10.
Yeah, including tax.
Including tax
I
for
mean,
half a bottle. Like, how amazing is that?
Yeah, and this wine, 91 plus point. I mean, it shows so good. This is to me, that's where Brian Schmidt shines. No one in the country can produce wines at such an incredible price point in such an approachable level and quality level that he does.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is intrigue and interesting in the bottle.
These Pinots, it's Pinot Meunier?
85% Pinot Meunier, 14% Pinot Noir, and a splash of Gamay. If you like a wine a little chilled,
a red a little
chilled, a red a little chilled, a fall wine, a Thanksgiving type of wine, give that wine a shot. This is so much fun.
Super interesting.
So that's the Pinot, the Sauv Blanc, 85%. Again, that's Brian Schmidt in a nutshell. He said, you know what we do here, it's Riesling. We have a great source of Sauvignon Blanc. Let's do 85% SB, 15% Riesling. At the beginning, I was like, really? When you taste it, you're like, darn it makes sense. Like these two varietals together make so much sense. So yeah, I love that wine.
Very well done. Super refreshing. We've spoken about the St. Urban Riesling. We have the 23 and the 2020 in this feature. You can get a pack with a few of each. It's pretty cool to compare them. Both really highly rated, 93 points and 92 plus points, right?
Absolutely.
Really fantastic. And great price point. I mean, $22 and $28, I think, for those Rieslings.
28 both. I think the both are.
They're fantastic price point. This is very special. We've chatted about this last week. The Chardonnay Musqué Mission Vineyard. That's at the start of the show, we were showing us off-roading in the Mission Vineyard. That's the first wine ever that we know of that has been bottled from that Mission Vineyard Chardonnay Muscat on its own.
Single vineyard,
Like,
exactly.
it's been in other wines
Yeah.
as a blend, but it's pretty special. And that the proceeds go to Brian Schmidt's charitable project to farm in Heidi. So that's also very special.
Yeah.
So Vineland, amazing stuff. But what's coming up? Not next week, but the week after in the club, Carl?
Lighting Rock. We're back to Summerland. I said it in front of people in Niagara. Summerland is a very emerging subregion of the Okanagan Valley. And Lighting Rock are focusing on single vineyards, single varietal wines.
We have 3 right here. What are they?
So you have that's sparkling. When they started, they were known as a sparkling house here in Summerland. Now they were known to make some of the very best sparkling in the Okanagan. They still make incredible sparkling. This is a Blanc de Blanc from the 2020 vineyard, so 100% Chardonnay. And 2020 vintage. Beautiful. This is the youth. This is show youth. This is show vibrancy. It shows the energy of Summerland terroir. Just so you know, when I'm back from hockey, I have a 2020 Chardonnay still. So we're gonna try the still
sparkling versus the still from the same vintage.
From the same vintage, same vineyard. Now we also have the opposite spectrum of grape varietals.
Oh, what's that?
I mean, look, the difference of color, right?
Yeah, this is lighter, this is darker.
Yeah. So you have a 2019 Reserve, which is a library wine.
This one?
This one. And this is from the Alicia's Vineyard, and this is it Alicia? No, this is Canyon View Syrah.
View. Wow.
This is a Syrah from Summerland. I didn't even know that there was Syrah planted in Summerland.
Well, I have to taste it now. Have you tasted it?
I did. It's so European. It's so Northern Rhone. Right?
Oh, that's nice.
Meaty.
Yes,
smoky.
It's got a bit of that like barbecue.
Exactly.
Wow.
So Summerland Syrah right there. So and the 19 Reserve Pinot. So these are serious wine. All single vineyards, single varietals. We're gonna have 9 wines. We're gonna have 2 wines from the Washington Same Project from the 2024. It's going to be a bottle of Albarino. We're going to have an Albarino, and we'll also have and the Carbonic Syrah as well.
Yes, which was also delicious.
Delicious.
Too. So this is a Pinot Noir
Reserve.
Pinot Noir Reserve from Lightning Rock, and this is the
Alicia's Vineyard Syrah.
Syrah, for a Summerland Syrah, you guys. This has got to be one of my favorite Syrahs. That was really interesting and delicious. You can spit in my coffee cup. More than that. Okay. Carl relocated and didn't bring his
I didn't bring my spit cup.
There you go. Well, it was so good to see you guys. Even though we had 0 sleep last night because we had that forest fire happening right on our way home. Couldn't get home. It's always nice to connect with you guys, and
I have to run to hockey.
Gotta run to hockey, very Canadian life of ours.
I mean, I have 8 bottles of 9 bottles of Batchelder's Gamay that I have to taste. I'm thinking of we might do it live.
Yeah,
that can be an idea. Saturday we're doing a library vertical tasting of Meyer Pinot Noir Micro Cuvée Saturday night with a few.
That might warrant an impromptu live just to share what you learned.
So you can expect. Goldie is waiting. I know he's waiting. He's back there, not happy with that. That's speaking about wine right now. So I gotta run. Gotta go. Canadian wine lovers.
Cheers.
Carl's Wine Club members. See you in a bit.